Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode from Investing with a Difference. So, yesterday we had a live stream which got interrupted.
Hello everyone. Welcome
And
to another
so we are
episode
doing
from
this
Investing with.
again to making. Let me just mute my channel. Okay, I think now we should be able to hear. So, if you having any issues hearing what I'm saying, do let me know. I'm just trying out another headset here. So let's get back to our live stream. And I think today we are going to mostly focus on question and answers from people because we could not take many questions yesterday. And of course, we will have a quick look at the market. But before, let me again remind you that we do have our Telegram channel, which we updated recently. And the Telegram channel is mostly we are targeting for people who are interested in discussing about EOS. So this is mostly targeted for it's going to be focused on EOS discussions, learning, and all the things around what is happening on governance, constitution. Even if you're interested in coding, we have a few developers out there who are interested in developing on EOS. So all those kind of things we are discussing. So the link is on our channel page, and you can click here, and you will get invited to Telegram. And of course, we do have Twitter and Facebook. I think we have been very active on Facebook earlier, and Twitter we are not very active, but we are trying to update as much as we can. So while we are waiting for people to join, let's have a quick look at the Bitcoin price. And it is looking very promising. If you look at it, we had these two big candles and on the daily chart, and we are seeing that we did not really correct much, even though we took a dive yesterday and we got a little bit below $7,300. This is actually looking very nice because we didn't have a red candle yet. And if you go back on the chart, you will see that there are very few such occasions when we went up like this and there was no immediate correction. So this momentum is very strong, and we think that this can be really pretty big for move. And as I said, like I'm always looking for the next resistance line. And of course, if you look at the previous highs, I would say $7,800, as I said yesterday, is still my like a tough zone, which will be difficult to cross because of such a huge supply which can come in here. Also, as I said, based on the previous few trend lines which we broke, and then we had to find another downtrend because overall we are still in a downtrend since we hit $20,000, and we need to clear out all of these uh, ranges. And especially if you look at, let me delete this line, and because that is still speculative, that's not really a good measure. I think a big thing is that this 200-day moving average is coming down consistently. And as you know, last couple of times when we dropped from 200-day moving average, it was a big fall. So we need to wait for it to maybe meet our price somewhere around, maybe if it keeps dipping and if we are going up, maybe around 8,500 or so if we keep the momentum, or if we take a maybe a little bit of correction and then go up again, maybe around $8,000. So I think anywhere between 8,000 to 8,500 we will see very strong resistance, while in short term we do have resistance at 7,800. So this is not going to be easy, but I think the good thing is we have a very good base at 6,850 now, that this was a very strong resistance which we broke. And hopefully when we correct now, it will remain above 6,850. That will really make it possible for us to keep this move going. Now let's look at EOS. So I think EOS is looking at around, I think we touched around $9. Actually, we went above $9, but now we are again correcting. There's a lot of profit taking happening on EOS, and this is not something which like it's not showing any strength like some of the altcoins are doing right now. So I don't think there is any basic fundamental change. As we talked about, EOS has been very strong in fundamentals, but people are still waiting for big apps to come along. And I think the most important apps will be the Block.1 apps, which are like Dan Larry Mercer has talked about the BitShares next version. That means a decentralized exchange on EOS. He has talked about a social network, which is kind of better than Steemit. And I'm hoping when he says Steemit, he's not really looking at a simple blogging site. So remember, Steemit has limitations. Even though I like it a lot, you need to understand that it is a simple blogging site, and in today's generation, your social media is much more complex. If you look at Facebook, another version of Steam, it will not be able to compete with Facebook. So we need to figure out, I think, what he's working on. Of course, he will show us what he has been working on once the time comes. But I hope that it is much better than Steemit, and that will really keep things moving, and people will really appreciate that. So in the terms of the block activity, I think the operations, what we are seeing is right now, EOS is still around 400,000, and most of these operations are actually not the real operations. Those are mostly stress testing, which is happening. And let's go and look if EOS network is working. It was down for some time. Yeah, I still don't see it working for me. Maybe let us know if somebody else is facing the same issues. So let's go back now, I think, to our block producer discussion, which we started yesterday. And as I said, a quick revision of yesterday's discussion was that we are pretty happy with the top block producers now. More and more people participating. Let me actually go to EOS Spark if EOS Monitor is not working, and we can see some more details. And we can see that this is right now the voting is 32.66%, which is great. I think even yesterday when we were looking at it, was 31.3. So it's a big jump of 1%, which is not small if you look at the number of tokens which have come in for voting. And this is great. I think it's consistently increasing again, and that is very encouraging. And that is something which we need to focus on, and I think that is what is improving some of the really good block producers. Like if you will see, like the top three are some which we really believe they are doing a lot of good things. In fact, even EOS Authority, yeah, they are doing a great job, and a lot of others we have been seeing very active. Out of these, I'm again disappointed that Greymas and Cypher class kind of block producers are not in the top 21. I think they're doing a lot of work for the community, and we need to help them go up into top 21. So I think this is going to keep improving, and hopefully we will see better participation. And that's what we have been working on. And as I highlighted, our proxy is listed here now, investing WAD, that is investing with a difference. And this is a very good visualization tool. We did post this link yesterday in our videos. So if you have any questions, let us know. And hopefully this will really make you understand how the voting is happening and impacting this block producer selection. So while we are, so this is something which I was wanted to talk about. There is nothing much I wanted to cover because we were disrupted yesterday in our live stream. So we will take some questions now. If you have any specific question for EOS, for overall markets, let us know. We will try to answer in best of our capacity. So there is a question coming. Do you know about the fork? So yes, I think we talked about Telos, which was the fork. If you look, if you go back to our channel, we did. Let's go to the videos, and you can see all the previous videos. And we did cover Telos here in this video. We talked about what the fork is all about, and I think, as I mentioned that day, it is nothing to worry about. It is just another experiment. I'm not sure if it is the right way to go out solving things, because definitely in the new projects there are always issues, and we need to always look at who is willing to stick around and solve those issues. Those are the strong hands. People who run away and start looking at alternate solutions. I know that it is challenging for block producers who are not earning rewards, and that can really make the difference. Because if you're talking about people who are not in even a backup block producer, how will they keep their lights on? Like, how will they keep their servers and their staff? and they do need to try out new things. I think that's the only reason I see this fork is happening. Other than that, people talk about uh, you're talking about what to do with in terms of constitution, in terms of voting. I don't believe in the changes will the market forces automatically take care of it. So for example, they are talking about limiting the current whales at 40,000 EOS now, or whatever token, telos, they're going to call it telos. Now, what does it mean? The 40,000 today you will limit it, but when they list on the exchange, how will they get rated? Right now, the EOS was around what, $8. Maybe in the best case, I expect if market values them, they will be valuing them at like 80 cents. That's actually very, very optimistic for a chain which does not have much money behind them, which does not have any great talent in terms of the top talent is still with EOS. And if they are going to launch a chain and list their token, it will be 80 cents or less, let's assume. Of course, it's a speculation. Maybe it will be 8 cents, maybe it will be $2, who knows? But irrespective of that, it will be way lower than EOS. And if a whale who has enough money, they can go and buy tokens again for this new chain, and they can become another big whale again. So how do you solve this problem? You're just limiting today's whales, and if you see, those whales are changing. If you go to this chart, some of these like start EOS came very late into the game. uh, we keep seeing some of these big moves which keep coming. EOS cleaners came in very late with whales votes. Now these people are sitting on huge valuations because EOS was around 12 billion or 15 billion market cap when there was a lot of accumulation happening before the mainnet launch. And these whales maybe had the capacity to buy such a huge amount of tokens at that valuation. I don't expect Telos to have more than a $500 million valuation. That is actually very optimistic. And what stops these whales, if they really believe that another chain, which is EOS based, will be successful, they can always come in, they can buy those tokens, and you can create another whale there. So this is not, I think, a great solution when you try to go fork it. And that is what my view is. But of course, people also talk about changing some other aspects of EOS. That is, what do you do when you have like people are suggesting changes where you say one person, one vote. I don't agree with that approach because somebody who has zero point 0.1 EOS versus somebody who has 100 EOS, even as a small investor, you have more stake in it and you should have more say about the constitution, about the rules, rather than somebody who you do not even know whether he has any interest in success of EOS because he's just buying very small amount. You can create any number of accounts and so on. So these are difficult problems. Democracies are built with a lot of debates, a lot of real world comparisons, and we should not jump to the conclusions about the problems today, and we should not focus on all the stuff around which people are like complaining about EOS. I think what you should focus on is this is still a pretty solid chain performing very nicely in terms of number of transactions, and it is also fairly democratic in the sense that it is there are people who are chosen by voting, and as this voting grows, as I said, we're already at 32%. I believe if once we move above 50%, it will be very difficult for whales to control this block producers. Then it will be mostly community driven once we go above 50%. And I want to see the small votes keep growing. So there are other questions coming in here. Simple EOS. So we actually, if you remember in our channel, we were always recommending Greymass wallet as compared to Simple EOS. And we are not ourselves using Simple EOS, but we have a lot of community members reporting issues. One of the issues, which was a very minor issue, but it was very commonly reported by Simple EOS, was missing airdrop tokens, missing history, the transaction history of what you were doing. And that can be scary if you are missing something which you should have seen in your account. But I think what I'm learning is that those were minor issues, but now I think a lot more issues are popping up. I think gray mass is working very well, and we have no issues with that. Let us know if anybody is facing any other issues. So we still recommend using gray mass, even though it is a minor concern on a simple EOS. All right. So then there are other people asking questions about price. Okay. So, guys, I think I usually don't speculate on price. As I said, I'm mostly talking about fundamentals. The market usually is defining the price. So, if you talk about price, I usually look at BTC, that is Bitcoin price, and that is the best way to analyze what is happening in the market. So, everything is related to Bitcoin in terms of the altcoin. So, as I see, the Bitcoin is breaking out. We are seeing some nice momentum. And once it establishes an uptrend, I think all altcoins will go up. That is one thing. While we know, and as all of us believe in EOS much more than any other altcoin in terms of blockchain technology, I think at some point the fundamentals will take over and EOS will start outperforming the market itself. So that's what I believe in. Again, let's not talk about day to day price movements because those are for traders. We do have trading group where we do some trading, but we don't really want to speculate here on this YouTube video because it's very difficult. I mean, I'm not into very deep technical analysis. We do mostly investment fundamentals and some kind of momentum moves. That's what we have been doing. But for EOS, I think my goal is to hold it because this is something which is going to change the way blockchains work, and that's why I think I believe in it. But now, looking at the market itself, I think it's moving up. And if we can cross this 7,800 area and we can settle above $8,000, that will be a really clear signal. That's the last resistance, which I believe that bears can really hope for. And if the bear market is not started from here or it doesn't reverse again from 7,800, I think the bulls will take full control of the market and hopefully we will reach the $10,000 and above very soon if this trend is reversed. At this moment, it is looking like a breakout, but it is still not a trend reversal. And if you look at the daily chart, the big peak is still around $10,000. So I think for a longer term, the trend is only reversed when we cross $10,000. For a short term, I would be happy if we cross 7,800, and that will give us a good momentum to go and try meeting this 200-day moving average around 8,500. Let's say when we meet it, because it will come down. It is right now at 8,870, and then finally $10,000. All right, so guys, if there are any other question, let us know. So one question here is, what is EOS Spark? Guys, so all these are tools to monitor the blockchain, just like Ether, Eth Explorer, or there was, I think, Etherscan. So all these are EOS based blockchain explorers. They just share information. EOS Spark is a pretty nice tool. They show you the voting progress. They show what block we are on. They show transactions. You can actually search a transaction, your account, and similarly, they give you the block producers who are producing right now. All these details. It's a pretty good tool. We also use EOS network, but somehow it is down today. I'm still trying to see what happened there. Yeah, it says that eosnetwork.io cannot be reached, and I'm still trying. I think there may be server must be down. We will keep trying that, and that was very good tool. Then there are some other tools. As I said, EOS Titan has produced a lot of good tools for watching the voting and the breakup of votes. So all these are great tools available, and you can always define what is your which tool you want to use. And there are pros and cons for every tool. Okay, so there's another guy asking me a question. I don't see investing with a difference on BP list. So we are not a block producer. We are just a proxy because we are trying to help the community to vote, because many people are not exactly sure whom to vote for, and that's why we have set up our proxy. So if you see here, we are just an account. We are a proxy account, and you can see it here. Or let's go and look at the EOS Aloha. Aloha EOS proxy list, and these are not all the people who are voting. They are not block producers themselves. They are voting for others, and we have 159 people who are assigned their proxies to us, and we have 595,000 tokens which are voting with us. So these 159 accounts, I think we are the biggest proxy account in terms of number of people. But of course, we are all small investors. We are not whales, and some of these other proxies are much bigger, and they are uh, like their number of tokens are higher. But I think in terms of number of people, I think that we are trying to build a community which is stronger, where we are, if we all combine together, we can keep climbing up here, and hopefully we can really match up and be, I think it's already a good sign that we are listed as one of the big accounts here in EOS Titan, and we thank EOS Titan for that. They are doing a lot of great tools and a lot of work, so I think we have selected them as one of our block producer votes. And we are also really happy with what EOS Aloha is doing. We recently added EOS Mediterranean because we have been talking to them. They're doing a lot of good stuff on this BP list, and we it's about spreading more and more geographies, spreading better people, like in terms of who we can identify with, whom we can reach out. I think the most important part in selecting block producers is block producers who are accessible. You can, because in a democracy, if you compare it with your local elections, or your city council people, or your uh, senate voting when you do, or your president voting, who would you like? You would like somebody who is accessible, who is transparent, and whom you know what they're doing, and they're talking to you, they're taking your feedback, and working for the community. That is our first criteria. But beyond that, I think we will have a lot more criteria. We are still not sure. Some people are asking us, EOS Nation has this tool. We are not satisfied with that tool, which is giving red or green marks against block producer. They are simply looking at JSON file, and those files, some of the rules they have set up are very strict. For example, EOS Canada was in red for a very long time. I'm not sure if they're still in red. And we talked to EOS Canada. They explained to us why they are showing up as red. And these were some minor issues in the tool. And those cannot be trusted yet. They are good screening tools, but we would not be relying on them completely right now. We are still looking out for, and we are continuously within our teams, we are developing better models to assess these block producers. But in short term, our focus is to identify those who are doing good work, who are visibly impacting the community, who are actually helping build tools for the community, transparency. They are making their voice heard in terms of what to do uh, before you like vote, in terms of like before you really understand the voting process. You need to understand these block producers. And what we are doing with the proxy right now is people who don't have time, they're just investors, but they want health of EOS community, and they are voting with us because we are doing a lot of work in talking to these block producers, understanding what they're doing, and it can help you if you add to our proxy. One thing I learned is recently is that even though we are voting regularly, you need to reassign the proxy after maybe a few weeks, because your weight will go down if you do not assign the proxy. So there are two parts you need to do even with our proxy. That is, one thing is make sure your tokens are staked. So all these are the tokens which are staked. If you have unstaked token, they will not be assigned as a weight to your vote. That is one thing. Second thing is you should keep refreshing your proxy. It's very simple. You use our account name, investingwad, and you just assign proxy again. You don't have to do it every week because the decay is not that much in a week or 2 weeks. I would say even if you do once a month, or maybe once in 2 months, that should be sufficient to keep the strength of our vote uh, good. And the other reason you should keep your tokens staked is you need to understand that your tokens are safe when they are staked. If they are not staked, they can be withdrawn within a moment, without notice. And in case of if they're staked, they can only be unstaked for after 3 days once the command is issued. So this is one reason why everybody should stake their tokens, just for the safety. Plus, if you're voting, it keeps your weight, the vote weight. That means how much percentage of vote is counts depends on how much of tokens are staked. All right, guys. So what else? When can token will be unlocked? So Ashish, I don't understand your question here. Which tokens are you talking about? Can you please clarify, and we can try to answer that. So poor man token, people are asking the question. So poor man token is not actually a project. This was just a test exercise, and it is not designed to list anywhere or to trade. And that's why I think that may not mean much in terms of price. Actually, let's look at some interesting stuff. So chains is the exchange which is trading most of the EOS tokens, and they are actually the first one to list some of the tokens. And let's go to that exchange, and that will tell you what's the price of some of the airdrops. So I think one of the biggest airdrops right now are CET, which is actually quoting at almost 19 cents. And IQ, of course, because it was 5:1, so you can multiply this by 5, so it's almost 20 cents. So IQ and CET both. CET is, by the way, the chains token itself. So if everybody got the CET tokens, and you can it's actually much more complex. You can actually stake your CET to earn. There are a lot of interesting things on chains you should try out, but I would say that this is an exchange where you can look at various tokens which are EOS based tokens, and that will give you an idea of how much each token is worth as they keep listing here. Hopefully they will keep up on all these new tokens. And in future, I'm expecting chains to keep listing the new airdrops which we are getting. So anyway, I think these are in terms of what is the value of these tokens. Uh, I'm not disappointed right now. I think even if 20 cent per EOS, which is at the current market price 2 to 3% bonuses, but these are very strong projects, Chains and IQ. I don't think all the tokens will be worth that much, but it's all adds up. So once we start having more and more airdrops listing, people will realize how the airdrop model of EOS is very successful, and that will also give a boost to EOS price. So that is my assumption, and let's hope that we can see that. So what else, guys? I have another 10 minutes to take questions, so please keep them coming. Do you think we need to get airdrops moving quicker to keep momentum going? I don't think airdrops are the only reason for the momentum. I think the most important thing is the applications, the real D apps, which are going to be listed on, which are going to operate on EOS blockchain. So I think right now, if you look at, okay, let me show you some tools which EOS Titan has developed, and they show you what are the transactions. So if you go to the transactions, they show some of the top transactions. Okay, let me see actions, not transactions, but actions. So the actions are what is really happening on the blockchain. If you look at it, the most of the recent transaction you're seeing, they're all block Twitter tweet. And if you are aware of them, so what they are doing, so I just crossed it. And if you see, if I remove the block Twitter, there is hardly any other transactions happening on EOS. Again, this was a stress test which is going on. This is nothing like a real application. They are just sending love BM. So if you don't know BM, BM is a Bytemaster. Bytemaster is the nickname of Dan Larimer. So they are saying love DM, the love BM, and that is just a one single tweet they are sending continuously, and this is more of a stress test to keep the level high. Similarly, EOS Ad, which is a block producers from China, and they were the first airdrop, and they were doing a stress test. If I remove them, you see even lesser transactions. So it's now the transaction have come down to 50,000, but let's take them back, and you will see that we have this transactions going at every hour around 400,000. That is only happening because of these stress tests which are going on, and there's hardly any other transactions happening. So once this more and more tokens are staked and real transactions start happening, real world applications start coming, that will build the momentum, not really the airdrops. So what else, guys? So you don't buy Bitcoin to get Bcash. Why airdrop for EOS? Okay, so I think you are trying to answer, Rob. I think you're just trying to answer the question from others. I don't think you have this was a question, but yeah, I agree with you. I think the point is you're not looking for airdrops. EOS, it has its own strength, and that is exactly what I was saying. The D apps will take this stuff forward. All right. What else? Any other question, guys? If you have anything, let me know. I think we are doing pretty well in general. I think most important thing is getting this blockchain to be tested more and more. That's what people are doing. We still have, I think Ethereum is again going up, but if you look at it, Ethereum is 100% blocked, and there are 69,000 unconfirmed transactions. This is not acceptable. Nobody can write any app which will work if you have to wait for many minutes or maybe hours for your transaction to go through. And I think that's where we have to educate people about EOS. It's hardly breaking a sweat even at the current stress test levels, and we need more and more applications to come in to show and demonstrate the capability, and then only we will see this going up. And interestingly, while we are at it, it's good to see Dash, which I think one of the good coins, which is a maybe can come up in future. They are seeing a lot of transactions. I would love to know if somebody knows what's going on there. Why is Dash going up? What new is happening? Especially for a currency, if the transactions go up, and if this is not a spam, if it's a real transactions, I would be really happy. And I think it creates an investment case for Dash if their level of transaction and interest is growing. So I will keep an eye on this. So this Blocktivity is a very good tool you should look at, and this tells you where the real world usage is possible, and that's why I think BitShare price is going up recently, because they have been cranking up the activity. So I'm not really following what's going on there. So if anybody knows what's the new stuff which is happening on BitShares, which is causing it to become so popular, it was clocking around 2 million earlier, and now it's almost 4.5 million. Very recently, it has doubled or tripled in activity. So all these things are interesting to observe on Blocktivity. That tells you what is really people are using versus all the kind of projections people talk about. For example, people talk about Litecoin, people talk about all other projects. So if you look at it, the real usage is hardly anything. Like there are 25,000 transactions per day versus Dash, which is now 527,000, which is huge. And I would like to see what is the average. So even the last 7 days average is 175,000, which is not bad. Even though they are spiking right now, they have pretty good averages versus something like Litecoin. So these are the kind of things I would say which we need to look at in terms of real world usage and the capacity of these networks. All right. So what else? Is this true? EOS slows the Ethereum network this time? Okay, so Ashish, I think the question here is you're talking about a news item which said that EOS has slowed down Ethereum. So what they were referring to was one of the reason why what happened is, let's go back to the block producers. So some of the block producers, which were uh, like not really sure, they did not build a community, and they were trying to get uh, people to take an airdrop. So just like EOS DAC, so EOS DAC was a community-driven exercise. They had very early on declared that they are going to do airdrop, and they did do an airdrop to on the ERC20 Ethereum chain. And similarly, a lot of new airdrops came up just before the mainnet launch because they were looking for votes. They were thinking that people getting a token even before mainnet launch will push them towards voting for them. So many block producers started airdropping their coin on Ethereum network. In addition, then there was many other factors. I think there are new applications on Ethereum itself was clogging the network, and you can always create a FUD around it that EOS was really spamming Ethereum, but that was just a function of all these block producers coming in, and some of them did not have much equity, they did not have much goodwill in the public, and they wanted to get identified, and they did an airdrop on ERC20, which in my world, I think I didn't really like it because there was no reason for you to airdrop. EOS DAC was very early project. They were always clear that they want to give people equity, and that's how they share their token, just to be upfront. And the project had started early, so I have nothing against them. But the rest of the block producers, they could have waited. And but I think it was mostly, if I really go to extreme, I can call it vote buying, by giving your token, giving you a stake in your block producer, whatever equity you're trying to give. It was not very clear. By any of those tokens were not clear what that token means, because they were not sure if they should say that they will share profits or whether they will be doing something else with those tokens. So those are, I think, mostly useless tokens in my world. But maybe in future they will do something good. There are many reasons people do these airdrops, and I would love to see what these guys are doing. But to come back to the question whether EOS was spamming Ethereum, uh, it was, yes, one of the factors, but not really a deliberate attempt. Even if there was a deliberate attempt, let me call it, that is a problem of Ethereum. It's not, and anybody can do. It's a public blockchain. Anybody, if who is willing to spend millions of dollars. Remember, Ethereum is not free, and when you are spamming, you are spending millions of dollars. Why would you do that? These block producers are doing it because they thought that they will get benefit out of it when mainnet launches. That was an investment for them because they were looking for votes. Now, anybody else or EOS itself, they would not like to spam Ethereum because of two reasons. One thing is they don't want to spend millions of dollars wasting their money. Second thing is they still own a lot of Ethereum. They raised a lot of money in Ethereum, so they are not trying to discredit Ethereum. EOS is way ahead of Ethereum, irrespective of their network congestion issues. So there is no reason for EOS to sabotage Ethereum, because Ethereum is like very, very old technology right now. They're still struggling to scale up, and I don't see any value by showing. Even CryptoKitties had created the same effect on Ethereum network. Why should EOS go and try doing anything further? It's already proven. There's nothing new to prove by spamming the network. So let me put it that way. So Rob is asking a question, costing them money to do ERC20 airdrop. Yes, Rob, I think it actually cost them a lot of money. Ethereum was clogged. A lot of this Meet.1 or I think EOP, I don't know, a lot of airdrops came around when mainnet launch on ERC20. And most of those are useless tokens because they have to anyway do the airdrop on EOS. If you're an EOS-based block producer, EOS chain, why would you do airdrop on Ethereum? And those airdrops were very costly, and that is one of the reasons they were only giving it to accounts who had more than 100 EOS. Now that again is not a great thing. I didn't like it because if you are giving more than 100, because you are making sure that most of the votes which count, you are trying to guide them in your direction. So it's almost like vote buying. And they did not care for small voters who had less than 100 EOS. And of course, they cannot do airdrop to everybody because it's costs a lot of money. Every transaction on Ethereum was costing like 40 cents or so. And in some cases, it had gone up very high, like a few dollars. So it was not cheap. And they had to spend money, and they were focusing on the big accounts. And I think some of them were successful in getting some votes based on that, I would say. But this is not something which was a great idea. All right, guys. So I think last couple of questions, and then we are off from here. I would like to know where all the projects that are reported to be coming over to EOS from Ethereum. So I think there is no public announcement. I would tell you that there were some discussions around the DApps definitely are looking at moving to EOS. It's not an easy step because if you have built up a lot of application on Ethereum, you have so much of IP built in, you have so much of a working app. It's very difficult to move, but some of them are doing it. One example is Wax token, which is one of the virtual asset trading exchange, but they are not moving to mainnet EOS. They are creating their own EOS chain. I've heard rumors around Sonam as a project which is moving to EOS. Then, of course, you have the DApps, which are the EOS Bets, that casino app. They were always targeting EOS, but they had done a project on Ethereum already to get going because they wanted to start the project before EOS mainnet. So there are a lot of them, and ultimately, I think people are waiting to announce. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are working. So when I was in recent conferences, couple of conferences I went to, a lot of people were talking about EOS, and their concern was, let's see how it stabilizes. We are only 1 month into the project. Somebody who is working on Ethereum and has a working prototype, they will have to wait for some big apps to launch before they go and be the first one. So if you have a working product, you don't want to move to EOS without seeing the stability of this. And that is, I think, the block right now. But it's very obvious that why people will move to EOS from Ethereum. All right. So last questions. How can we get the Meet.1 airdrop on EOS? So Meet.1 gave an airdrop on Ethereum because, as I said, they were maybe trying to get identified before the mainnet launch so that they can get votes. They are one of the block producers. They have not done EOS airdrop. Whenever they do, you will get it automatically. You don't have to do anything. Remember, most of your airdrops on ERC20 on Ethereum chain are useless. Your EOS token is useless on Ethereum. That was only to capture the ownership, and now EOS mainnet is the only place where you can see your token. So I don't think Meet.1 has done any airdrop on EOS, and there is no clarity on when they will do it or whether they will do it. And so this is what concerns me of these really useless airdrops, and this was almost like vote buying, and I'm personally very much against them. All right, guys. So that's all for now. I think I need to get going. And thanks again for joining. Again, apologize for yesterday's abrupt closure on the live stream. So today we took some questions, and we hope that we will keep engaging on this forum. As I mentioned earlier at the start, if you have not looked at it, we have added a Telegram channel. We expect people to join here and start conversation. We will be trying to take questions there also. But again, it's a community channel. It's an open channel where you can talk to each other, and it is a moderated group. We want to keep it very serious discussions only. So please, no spamming or no discussions around other projects. It's a EOS community discussion we are talking about. And as some of you are already on our Facebook channel, it's again, it's a Facebook group, and we mostly have every post has to be approved by us before it gets posted. But Telegram, it's a much more interactive. You can post and talk to each other. But remember that we will moderate it and make people who are not following the rules will be kicked out. So that is the goal, but this is mostly for learning, and I hope we can keep building this community, especially for the health of EOS network. I think all of us are investors in EOS. Please, if you have not voted, please vote. If you don't know whom to vote for, select us as a proxy. Investing WAD is the proxy. Watch our videos on how to set up a wallet if you have not set up a wallet. Here is a video, best EOS wallet, Greymass. And all the people who are using Greymass, please update your wallet. You just go to Greymass when you're open. You go to your menu and you say help, and you say check for updates. If you check for updates, it will automatically update your wallet. Keep it updated. They are making some good changes, and that will help you keep pace with all the recent updates they're making. So, and nothing changes. You don't have to import your private keys again when you set up this wallet. We still recommend Greymass because they have been very careful in releasing features. And this is one of the most reliable wallets we have seen. Simple EOS, we heard that there have been some issues. Again, we are not using it, so we are not recommending it against it. For whoever it is working, please keep using that. But ultimately, participate in the community, vote, and make a difference here. And that's what we stand for as a community, and that's why we call ourselves Investing with a Difference, where we take control of our investments and we make a difference. So thanks again for joining in this video, and make sure that you keep engaging with others and learn about your investments. Don't speculate. EOS is for future. EOS is we believe it's a huge project which can make a difference, and that's why we are supporting it and covering it in great details. Thanks again for joining. Bye for now, and talk to you next time.